to another episode of Rooted and Restored. We're so glad you've joined us today, and we are excited to kind of be back together on this couch. And before we get started, I just want to give you tons of kudos. You've added our podcast to our webpage now. So those of you who follow us on YouTube and wherever else we are, I just want to let you know that Callie's now got us up and running on the website, so you can look back at all the other episodes we've done and catalog them according to the issues and revisit them as you need them. So thank you for doing that. And it's always been a priority for us to bring this material to the world maybe, but most importantly to our community and to our clients. So we try to talk about issues that are relevant to the things that we see in our sessions with our clients, but also in our own worlds. And so we are approaching the new year. And gosh, we're going to see so many things about the new year, the new you, setting goals and vision boards. And initially we had thought that that might be a topic we would want to explore just to stay relevant and connect with you. But we really, what started to shift inside of me is, what does that even mean? Mm-hmm. And when we start new things, sometimes they stick and sometimes they don't. More likely they don't, right? There's statistics out there that you start a new thing and if within 6 weeks it's not there anymore. Weight loss journeys, new exercise habits, mm-hmm. food changes, all of those things. So we decided and there's a lot of maybe what on my feeds anyways, a lot of kind of insight in this space, but we decided we're going to talk about a part of my journey mm-hmm. that maybe only some of the people closest to me know about it. But we feel like it's relevant to our people mm-hmm. and you're just going to pull it out of me like you've done before. And we're just going to negotiate this in hopes that maybe we can identify that new habits are good habits, but it's the consistency, it's the discipline, and it's really getting underneath the surface that I think is so important for us. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Callie, and I'll let you take it away.
Awesome. Right, not everybody knows about you, but you're not hiding it, mm-hmm. right? That you are currently living a sober life. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what we talking about with the new year, and it's been on your social media feed, hasn't been on mine as much. Uh-huh. But that's kind of what touched your heart as we were navigating what we wanted to bring into the new year. Mm-hmm. So, I think kind of just going back for you, like remembering when was the first time that you even remember drinking and kind of where that started for you, and maybe that's where we can start at.
Yeah, and maybe I think it's important to, even before I answer that question, mm-hmm. just identify that, like, I think drinking the conversation we're going to have about alcohol can also hold space for marijuana. Mm-hmm. It can hold space for gambling. It can hold space for pornography addiction. I would hope that those watching would be able to maybe see that this isn't just about stopping drinking or overuse of alcohol or alcoholism. It can be overuse of anything mm-hmm. that maybe was an answer, a dysfunctional answer at some point, but then kind of becomes a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And so, we're going to talk about addiction, but we're also going to talk about like a different way to look at this. Mm-hmm. So as I explore my history, I just think it's really important that we understand that I don't think people wake up in the morning at 15 years old and say, I can't wait to blackout drink every single night before bed. They wake up, they're introduced perhaps, or they have a lifestyle that from family or whatever it is that invites this kind of behavior as an answer to something. Mm-hmm. And so that's important for me, for you that are listening, to know that like you didn't wake up an addict. Maybe you have genetic predisposition or a family history or, circumstances that lead to vulnerabilities, but you didn't wake up this way. I didn't wake up this way. You didn't wake up this way. So I think that's important to kind of set the stage as we look at that. This could be about being overweight. This mm-hmm. could be about eating sugar. This could be about playing video games. There's so many things that we overdo. And if we don't look underneath the hood and understand that there's a reason that we overdo it, then we're missing the point.
And I think what you just said, with every topic we've talked about in here, right? It's not staying on the surface. So, right, if we talk about this sober lifestyle, that's staying on the surface. Like you as a listener being able to go deeper and saying like, how can I relate to this? Or how has my excessive shopping affected me, right? Mm-hmm. Shopping isn't a problem, but if you're using it as a crutch, maybe it is.
Correct.
So being able to do some self-reflection as we talk about this and see where other people feel like they can relate to some of the struggles that you've walked through, or maybe some of the deeper feelings underneath the drinking.
Yeah. And so your question is so profound, because I don't think any of us, when we're in the midst of happy hour at 28 years old, go, when did I first drink alcohol? And why did I first drink alcohol? It's just like, this is awesome. I'm letting my hair down. It's been a hard week at work, and let's just enjoy it. But the question you ask is really important, and hopefully as I kind of unlock some of my story, it'll start to make sense for folks. So to kind of go to your question, I first encountered alcohol like the day I was born, right? Alcohol has been a part of my journey, not ingested in my body, so to speak, but it has been a part of my journey for my entire life. It was a normal thing in my family to have beer in the refrigerator, to have a liquor cabinet, to have parties all the time surrounding drinking. I don't know that I always knew what like blackout drunk looked like or all of that, but it was very common in our home to have a can of beer between your legs while you were driving. It was just a pattern of behavior that I would have never questioned growing up. I would have never ever thought anything was wrong with it. It was just our normal, kind of like a bottle of water, right? People listening might go, I can't even relate to that. Well, but we can, because this can be shaped as like every day. My mom was in her room all the time, and that was just our normal. Or we bought new clothes every time we went to this thing. It was just your normal. Does that mean it was healthy? No, not necessarily. Like, we only ate starch food in our home, and like we didn't ask any questions because that's just what it was. So I just want to kind of shape that like my alcohol use started way before it ingested in my body. But my first time really indulging in alcohol was when I was in 8th grade. And I remember getting into my dad's liquor cabinet, and I don't even know how much of his Crown Royal I drank, but I was way intoxicated, vomiting all over myself that night. And I thought it was cool. Although I was super sick and everything like that, I thought it was so cool. I had a friend over, and we were just having a good time. And at that point, even though I was sick I thought I was the coolest kid. Like, I was fitting in with everything. It felt popular to me at that time, that people that I were hanging out with and these sort of things, it was a measure of me taking on the things that they thought were cool. And so I thought they were cool too.
Okay. What do you feel like I hear you thought it was cool or you fit in. What do you feel like drinking emulated for you growing up?
A sense of belonging. And that's with tons of work around it, right? I wouldn't have been able to tell you that years ago, but alcohol meant that you fit in with that social group. For me, getting drunk and being crazy like that was an indicator that I was willing to take risks to be a part of this social group that I was hanging out with. For me, it meant that I could say that I drank alcohol, which felt like popular or like fit in to me.
When do you feel like you noticed, I guess, the awareness behind it? That might be jumping forward a little bit, but do you feel like both prior to stopping, you kind of started gathering that and were able to identify it? Or do you feel like, I know, like you started your sobriety journey because of weight loss and just navigating a healthier lifestyle, but do you feel like after that you started to have the awareness of like, aha, like I was trying to belong, and like through reflection in that season?
Yeah, it actually took that, right? I think if somebody would have said, Lisa, just stop drinking, it's the better version of you, I wouldn't have been open to it because I wouldn't have agreed with it. I can manage my alcohol. I don't drink every day. I don't have to drink more than 2 drinks to enjoy myself. But it took me like investing in this idea that like alcohol is actually inhibiting me from reaching some better healthy spaces in my world with my weight, with my fitness. And so I think it took me like almost having to refrain from it to be able to understand where I had inserted it into my world, that when it was removed, I had way better clarity about how I was using it.
So I think also just emulating that too, just because you choose to take a pause from something or stop something, that doesn't mean you have all the answers right away when you make that choice. Sometimes it's about trusting the process and being able to have clarity or see the full picture once you have your distance or your separation from something.
Yeah, and that's reminding me, when I was in a counseling session once, the therapist said, if you can't stop something, that should be an indicator, right? Like if you can't stop it and like kind of reflect on it, that should be an indicator that maybe there's a bigger issue. And to your point, I think had I just, somebody had said like, hey, challenge 90 days sobriety, I've been like, why? And then the next happy hour or the next time there was some sort of opportunity to be social with somebody, I would have been like, screw this, right? And I think I would have just jumped right back in. Like it doesn't have meaning to me at that point. So I would have rationalized my way back into it. And to that therapist point, I think that's echoing exactly what she meant. If you can't stop intentionally, there should be some more reflection on why you can't.
And right, somebody else telling you to stop something until you believe it or you truly want it, right? You can't want something more for somebody than they want for themselves. And that goes for everything we do in life, right?
Yeah. And I actually think we do the exact opposite. I had a client in here a couple days ago and she's like, my parents want me to lose weight. And because they want that for me, I actually don't even want to ask for their help. I don't even know that I want to lose weight. And she's actually gaining weight because of that, right? Because she's so resistant, or maybe subconsciously, but like retaliating against them because it doesn't feel like a her thing. It feels like a them thing.
Interesting. I also think it's interesting, just as I heard you kind of talk about your journey, I think it's interesting to know everybody's different. Like for you, right, you found a sense of belonging, or it was so normalized for you that you got curious about it. For me, I ran in the opposite direction. Like it terrified me seeing other people. So like I remember being in college and I was at a tailgate and I saw somebody from my sorority and they were like, oh, like, do you want a drink? And I was like, sure. And I literally ran away. So, and she didn't think much of it because there's so many people and stuff, but that was my mentality around it. Even when I was of age to drink, like it took me a while to be able to find out what that even looked like, just because my fear around it was so intense. So
Yeah.
just interesting to see the difference.
Well, the spectrum, right? I think we have different varieties here. Like we have the like, I'm not going to use because I'm afraid of it. But then what are you afraid of? There's that question. I'm going to overuse, and there's lots of risks and maybe like legal actions or this sort of thing. And then there's this sense of like, I could or I couldn't, right? But I did every time somebody else was. So there's like this huge spectrum of like why we do the things that we do.
And I think also naming like how I chose to approach it was just as unhealthy as you chose to approach it, because if you walk in fear for so long, right, eventually it catches up to you and you have to face the reality of it. And if you don't have the tools to do it, you can very easily find yourself in a place of overusing something because nobody taught you where the middle ground was.
Or underusing, right? Like missing out on social situations or avoiding that business meeting because you're afraid there's alcohol there or whatever other things, or judging people because of it. There's limitations in every one of these areas.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So we kind of talked about when you were younger in 8th grade. So I also know, right, like you had journey in college, also like young adulthood, also being a parent, socializing with other parents, like I guess just walking us through like if it changed in every season of life for you and what that looked like.
Yeah. And so, you know, being connected to addiction, I know that there's people that can't put it down once they pick it up. That was not my story. But what I ended up doing was picking things up along the way based on the groups that I was hanging out with. So even prior, well, maybe it was about the same time that I had indulged in this Crown Royale situation, I had tried almost every drug up until that point. I had moved back to live with my dad. I had gone from going to private school, this major divorce, and now I was in public school. In the neighborhood we lived in, you know, I could hang out with shady people if I wanted, and I did choose to. That's where I felt accepted. And they did drugs, and we did a lot of street drugs. And so they would look at me, Cal, and they would be like, what are you doing hanging out with us? Like, I guess I had a presence about me that I didn't fit on the street or whatever, but I was definitely trying to belong. And so, you know, I was doing everything they did. And so that just followed me throughout high school. And if you looked at every year of my high school journey in the yearbook, you'd see a different version of me, right? And I mean, I didn't know who I was. I had no identity. I mean, it was whoever I was hanging out with was what I absorbed. So started my freshman year, like kind of like a street kid, really kind of, maybe people would say ghetto, like in a gang and having had all this experience. And then sophomore year, I start dating this guy that like likes the beach. And so I start being more like this like beach church girl and cut my hair and dyed it blonde. And then junior, I started hanging out with people that were doing ecstasy. And so now I'm doing ecstasy and like hanging out all night long. And my parents are like, what is going on with you? And then senior year, I started hanging out with people at work. And now all of a sudden I'm like professionally responsible. And I've got this other aura about me. Like I just became whatever was in my space. And so alcohol didn't maintain a big presence in my world in high school because that wasn't that wasn't a popular thing. It was more the drug use and kind of that lifestyle. But then in college, it all changed.
Why?
Well, then it was night at Bullwinkle's, and that's what you do in Tallahassee on a Thursday night, and going to Potbelly's and doing the things. And so if I wanted to fit in with my friends and do the things they were doing, it was like girls' night, you know, free shots until this time or whatever. And so I started absorbing that lifestyle. And that became a very real, I mean, I gained the freshman 15 and some, and it was all alcohol. Maybe some McDonald's French fries late at night. And I laugh about that, but it was a big deal. It was a really big deal. And then it slowly became Bachelor on Wednesday night, a Bachelorette, and we would drink wine and watch The Bachelor, like things like this. Of course, I'm aging myself, but right, like I know it's still popular on TV, but we'd be at the sorority house doing that. I mean, it was fun times, but I don't know that I did it because I wanted to. Maybe some of it, but a lot of it had to do with what people around me wanted to do.
And I think normalizing that so many people go to like the fast pace of like life and what's normal and staying busy or what you do to feel accepted or camouflaging yourself to feel wanted and needed, that especially if it's not even modeled to you, how do you even know to sit with yourself and say like, do I really even want to drink wine tonight? Like I have an exam tomorrow at 9 a.m., right? Where I feel like sometimes it's in college, right? It's like normalized that you stay out until 3 a.m. and you have to go to class the next day at 9 a.m. and that's normal because you're in college. Where it's also okay to pause and say, that's not really normal, right? It's just that society has normalized those behaviors, but then you have so many people coming out of college that struggle with the adjustment to it because they've been living in a world that is really unhealthy to some extent.
Yeah, and that goes back to what I said at the beginning, I think. We don't stop and ask ourselves why we're doing things. And I never thought to stop and ask myself why, right? I was trying to achieve greatness in college, and I would put like, and I know, but we normalize this in college. It's like what we're doing. We stay up late, we study last minute. Like these were just things, but why? I'd never stopped, Cal, to even question, who are you, Lisa? Why are you doing this? Why is this a priority to you? What about getting wasted every single weekend and twice a week is like such a priority to you? I never ever thought to stop and ask. And what I started to learn as I reflected back, 5 years ago, is that like I wouldn't have, because the way I had been raised, this was normal. This was cool. This was what you did. And so I just was doing what I knew to do. I would have never stopped and asked any questions. No different than how we ate spaghetti every Sunday as an Italian family. Like, do you know how much calories is in spaghetti? Like, why did I feel like that's just what you did, right? Like, because that's what we did. We ate spaghetti. Nobody ever told me, like, carbohydrates and starches and, like, there's other healthier alternatives. Never. It was just what we did.
And I think normalizing, right? Like, if it's all you know, it's all you know. And it takes such a big leap of faith and trust in yourself to question everything and be the only one to be like, wait a minute, like maybe it is normal, but it's not okay. I think this is such a weird concept. I still think it's weird, but there's something I learned about, maybe it was in college, like I think it's more of a male thing, but shower beers. Men drink in the shower.
Oh.
Never knew that was a thing. And when I started questioning it, like, it was like, oh yeah, ha ha ha, it's a normal thing you do. And I was like, that's so concerning. But nobody even thinks about it because it's just normal. People pregame before going out or before watching a sports at a sports bar, and they do these things. But then if you're separated from it, being able to say, like, that's kind of concerning that you can't even take a shower without consuming alcohol.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Or you're really sad and you're in the shower and you're drinking. Like, oh, right? But if you're in it or you're with all your buddies, it's funny, everybody does it, it's cool. So even something like that, like, again, it's just another thing to emulate. Everybody around you is doing it, so it's funny, it's cool. You're sad, have a shower beer. Okay, what would it take for you to be like, wait a minute, bro, like, that I don't think that's okay. Are you okay?
And you're bringing up something that feels like really familiar to some of the clients that I'm serving right now. Is like, if you're a parent watching, we just think our kids are bad. They're influenced by their peers. They're seeking kind of this space. But what if we seriously ask, like, what is it that this is answering for them right now? And what if we started asking that question? Like, when I brought home my first fake ID, I thought it was the coolest thing. And I showed my mom, I showed my dad. They thought it was funny, blah, 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 blah. I almost got arrested in Daytona with my fake ID. Like, what would I have done there in jail? Like, called my parents, they would have had to drive. Like, there were so many risk factors. And I know that's the least of some people that have struggles in this area. But like, what if my parents, when I showed that to them, said, like, why is this such a priority to you, Lisa? What about this feels funny to you? Like, what is the emphasis in this space for you? I think I would have been defensive. But what if somebody would have asked that question of me instead of just been like, high five or ha 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 or go college, like that's what you do in college, but instead in a kind, compassionate way went, hey, like, this is a bigger deal to you than I'm used to. Like, what's up with that? Well, this is how I fit in, Mom. This is what everybody's doing. What if she could have held space for that? Maybe we could have had a different conversation. Do I feel like I might have changed at that point? Not at all. But this narrative would have been developed a lot sooner in me than, in 2021.
And also going to the other end of the spectrum, right? Like, your parents were like, oh, college, right? Funny, making jokes about it, right? And then you have the other end of the spectrum too, where you have parents that get so angry about it, right? So both of those cause the child to, or the teenager or the college student, right, to stay what they're doing and stay the course and not look for guidance or try to be able to seek guidance from their parents or supportive role models.
Absolutely. I had a woman in here just today and she said, like, she was challenging her son, like, do you feel you're worth it? Like, these decisions are hurting you. Why are you intentionally hurting yourself? I was like, I'm stealing that. Like, good for you, Mom, for asking that question, because isn't that what it is to be loving and kind and generous with our space, to go like, do you know how valuable you are and how much this is taking from you? No, I never even thought of it that way. I just was doing it because my friends were, because we don't realize in our conscious state the subconscious desires that we have.
And kudos to the mom to, like, I take herself out of it and not take, like, any of the blame or all these other things that you take on sometimes as a parent, and just be able to be present for her son and say, like, let me hold space for you. Right. Let me ask these deep questions.
Because I get it, because I've done my own work, and now I'm helping design some work inside of you.
Okay. So when do you feel like, or I guess kind of take us, you were in college, right? Navigating what that looked like, and then young adulthood. Where was that?
We're the same. I never drank at home by myself. I kind of maybe like even gave myself a pat on the back for that. Like, I never desired that lifestyle or really felt like I actually didn't want to, because I knew the calories at that point. I was pretty familiar with health and fitness at that point. So I didn't want the additional liquid calories. I would have rather gone to McDonald's or whatever, ice cream or whatever it would have been if I was to trade off, But I also just didn't like feeling out of control when I was by myself. But in any situation, just like in college and high school, the groups of people that I was hanging out with, if a group of coworkers was going out after work, I would go with them, or whatever that was. I had no problem in developing like my identity around what it was that they were inviting me to, just as a sense of belonging.
When you made that shift for your lifestyle and your health, and you said, okay, I'm no longer drinking, when you had to navigate social experiences or going out to dinner with coworkers or other parent friends, was it hard for you, since I would say named that, like, you've been more of like a chameleon, or like navigating your codependency, right, with your belonging? Was it hard for you, or did you have to negotiate with yourself, like, oh, wait a minute, like, I'm not drinking just because these people are?
Absolutely. It was a total change in lifestyle. Dad and I had parties a lot at our house when you were in high school. There was a lot of alcohol involved. We loved being kind of the focus of everybody's like space and fun. The kids were at home. It was great. But immediately when I stopped drinking, like I didn't want to be in that space anymore. I didn't want to go to restaurants anymore. I didn't know who to be in the spaces I had always included alcohol. So it was very hard for me. I would say the first year, and even still to this day sometimes, if I'm on the beach or places that and could I drink today? Yeah, I don't choose to. I don't, but like I could, and I know that I could, but I don't want to because I just don't want to feel that way and I don't want to fight that again. So it's just better for me to stay where I'm at and continue the lifestyle choices I've made. But yeah, and it's not easy because our world and what I realize as a result is alcohol. Like there is alcohol in almost every social experience that we do, from football games to baseball to gosh, when we go to like the little league stuff with the kids or soccer, I mean, it is all surrounded by this. And I've grown to be like, that's just what it is. But I don't stay up till 1 o'clock with all of them and watch them, and it doesn't do anything for me to do that anymore. Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like there was any level of you that was struggling with depression? Might be a big word to name it, but were you struggling with feeling alone or feeling isolated in the beginning, or not staying up till 1 a.m. with these people, or maybe feeling a distance with some people as they were continuing the lifestyle and you were separating from it?
Yeah, I don't have friends because of it now. And I feel like our friends have been kind to us, but like they know we don't drink. And so they don't call us to do the things that are drinking anymore. And so because that was the premise of a lot of our relationships, which I didn't realize at the time, we don't have a whole lot of close friends anymore because we were considered the sober people. And that's kind of like an abnormal thing, right? And because we weren't getting to the level of intoxication now and being like the stupid people at the end of the night who were talking all the drunk things that you do, like we didn't fit in with that crowd anymore. And so, yeah, definitely developing new hobbies, new understandings, new people in my world. But I'll tell you, the more I'm able to like own who I am, I'm learning that there's a lot more people like me that are making these lifestyle choices. And in fact, leaders in this space are saying that like the next generation will not struggle with alcohol because they see it as poison. Marijuana, maybe a different story, right? But alcohol, for sure, people are starting to realize the difference that they can, health-wise, that they can experience without it.
I think even just highlighting what you just said in this sense that trusting the process, right? Like in the beginning, if you would have gotten stuck in that, you might have said, oh, actually, I'm going to drink because I want to feel included, or go back to that state of wanting to feel belonging again, instead of trusting the process and starting to open up your eyes to new communities, new people, and also highlighting if people just want to be around you when you're drinking, right? Like, do they really know you? Do they really value the same things as you to your core, or have the same morals as you, right? Because if somebody's truly wanting to be in your corner just because you're not drinking anymore, they'll still find space to be able to go on a walk with you, or go grab coffee with you, or different things like that.
You're not wrong. And what I would say to that is I think we've chosen friends, or at least I chose friends before, that emphasize so much of that lifestyle that unless I was fitting into that space, right, it wasn't that they didn't want to be healthy or good friends to me, because I think if I would have asked them to go on a walk or try to maintain a workout schedule with them, I could have done that. But it was all those extra experiences that we didn't intersect anymore. So other places in our world never collided anymore. And so that felt like a loss, I think, for all of the experiences we had, for sure.
I think such a hard thing for you to walk through, but also such a beautiful thing for you to be able to have that sense of realization, because so many people don't get to experience that because they don't get to sit in the hard and be able to have the self-discovery that you allowed yourself to have in those moments of being able to say, okay, I'm choosing to do this. I don't know the full picture yet. I don't know all the benefits or the self-discovery that I'm going to experience through this, or the self-growth that I'm going to have, or where this is going to put me in the next 3 years, but I'm going to trust it.
Right. And what we begin to build, and for me this was so important, is self-respect, because the more decisions I made to keep true to this decision, the more I started to trust myself and respect myself more, and the more authority I feel like I built for myself, which I had never really done in this space, right? And so that too was something I like, I didn't know that I was going to stumble into that. I didn't expect that to be something that I then understood. Like, actually, I really don't like being out past 9 o'clock at night. And actually, like, I don't even like how I felt the next morning after alcohol. And actually, like, I would rather, fill in the blank than be involved in this lifestyle. Like, oh my goodness, like, I had no idea. And I was giving my life away essentially to this thing that was socially normal that helped me fit in. Or break the ice. I mean, now I walk into big business rooms and I'm like, okay, no glass of wine, let's do it. I'm not as comfortable. It's not because I don't have anything numbing me, but girl, like, I've done it and I feel good about myself because I've done it.
So I think it's so important, I feel like, when hearing this, to challenge yourself not to go through the motions just because everybody's doing it. Being able to be the first person to, like, sit and pause and be like, do I even like this? Do I even want to do this? And the answer can be no, and that's okay. And knowing that you might cultivate a whole new path for yourself and open yourself up to so many different beautiful things that you never would have expected if you just kept saying, okay, that's what everybody else is doing, or this is what I'm supposed to do. So sure.
Yeah. And there's a whole nother space and place now that's available that I only ever thought was filled by alcohol or this sort of thing that, to your point, I would have never known was even available. I would have never known that, hey, we take walks as friends. Like, that might seem silly, but like, I would have rather said, hey, let's meet up for a glass of wine. Right. And now there's a whole nother, like, side of me that's available, and that feels really good.
I think even, like, imagine putting yourself like 4 years back into the past. Like, if you would have told yourself, oh, Lisa, you love yoga and that feels like the most freeing thing in the world, you probably would have been like, what the heck? You're crazy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think to that point, like, I don't think I would have ever gotten in touch with my body the way that I am now, because I just lived outside of it and intoxicating myself and this sort of thing, because it wasn't just alcohol. It was food. It was chaos. It was unhealthy choices. Like, there were so many things that it wasn't just alcohol, going back to what we originally said, like, there were so many things I was distracting myself with, and now living in like a very present version of me. Gosh, I never knew it existed.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today. It is our hope that whatever New Year's resolution or whatever new thing you're attempting to create for yourself, that you see a different maybe space available to yourself, that maybe you can look underneath the surface. Maybe you can hold on to that question from the beginning. Where did this all begin for you? And what is it answering? So that maybe whatever it is that you're trying to focus on might be a little bit more within reach or a little bit more sustainable for you as you navigate whatever goals that you're looking to grow in. And if you're struggling in this space, you're not alone, right? I hope that parts of my story connect, and that maybe this would just create a new level of investigation within yourself. And share this with a friend, share this with a colleague, share this with somebody who might maybe just need a little bit of understanding that who they are today doesn't have to be who they are tomorrow. And of course, if you know anybody that is looking for help, or reach out to us here at Rooted and schedule a free intake call. Thanks for listening.